Hello, you're watching Shalom World News. I'm Donna Villa from Chicago, USA, filling in for Rudy McLennan. Here are the latest headlines from around the world. Pope Francis has requested prayers for his pilgrimage of peace to Kazakhstan, which starts tomorrow, Tuesday, September 13. He made this appeal during his customary Angelus on Sunday and also thanked all those who helped prepare his Apostolic Journey. The Holy Father will be attending the 7th Congress of Leaders of World and Traditional Religions, which will be held in the Kazakh capital, Nur Sultan, from September 13th through the 15th. The pontiff said it would be an opportunity to meet and greet many religious representatives and to dialogue as brothers and sisters for peace, which our world is thirsting for. Pope Francis follows in the footsteps of Saint Pope John Paul II, who made his first papal visit to the Muslim-majority nation in 2001. Meanwhile, the Vatican has released the Pope's schedule for the trip, which also includes meetings with the country's president, civil society members, as well as the celebration of Holy Mass in the capital. Pope Francis renewed his prayers for suffering Ukrainians and said he has sent Cardinal Konrad Krajewski to the country to offer his and the Church's concrete closeness. He said this on Sunday as he spoke to pilgrims gathered at St. Peter's Square for the Angelus. We continue to pray for the Ukrainian people that the Lord will give them comfort and hope, said the Holy Father. It is the Polish-born Cardinal's 4th visit to the war-torn country. He will travel to the cities of Odessa, Zhytomyr, Kharkiv, and other places in eastern Ukraine. During his Angelus address, the Pope also remembered Italian Camboni missionary sister Maria de Copi, who was killed in the Mozambique area by militants of the Islamic State last week out of hatred for her ardent missionary zeal. As the late Queen Elizabeth II's coffin was taken from her summer residence to the Scottish capital of Edinburgh, thousands paid tribute to Britain's longest-serving monarch. The slow cortege was the first in a series of solemn events leading up to the Queen's state funeral taking place on September 19 in London's Westminster Abbey. After 24 hours in the throne room of Holyrood House, the casket with her remains will be taken to Edinburgh's St. Giles Cathedral for a prayer vigil. It will be attended by King Charles III and the royal family. Her coffin will then be flown to London, and there will be a somber procession when it is later removed from Buckingham Palace. In Westminster Hall, the late Queen will lie in state for 4 days. A public holiday has been declared on the day of the Queen's funeral, and guests will include senior British politicians and dozens of heads of state from around the world. The United States on Sunday observed the 21st anniversary of the dreaded 9/11 terrorist attacks that shook the nation. Remembering one of the deadliest terrorist attacks in U.S. history, church leaders once again honored the victims of the attacks and their relatives. Cardinal Timothy Dolan of New York tweeted, quote, "September 11 is a day of powerful memories, a day in which we saw the worst of humanity and the best of humanity," end quote. Famous evangelist and pioneer of Samaritan's Purse charitable outfit Franklin Graham assured his closeness to those affected by the tragedy. The relatives of the victims, police officers, and city officials gathered at the National September 11 Memorial to pay their tributes. The Al-Qaeda coordinated suicide attacks killed nearly 3,000 men, women, and children. In Ukraine, the Latin Rite Bishop Pavlo Honchiruk of Kharkiv, Zaporizhia Diocese stressed the need for justice in his country and the importance of faith in God. This comes as the war in the Eastern European nation entered the 7th month. In an interview with Vatican News, Bishop Honchiruk said that war provides an opportunity for people to deepen their relationship with God. The 44-year-old bishop has witnessed firsthand the horrors inflicted on people in the region. The prelate served as a military chaplain before the war and is among the youngest Catholic bishops in the world. He said what is needed now is justice, which should be at the forefront in terms of the importance of the many resolutions that have been reached during the last years. After a 2-year gap due to the pandemic curbs, thousands of Catholic believers in the pilgrim city of Naga in the Philippines took part in the procession of Our Lady of Peña Francia on September 9. The procession, which is known as Translacion, witnessed the participation of 500,000 Marian devotees. They thronged the streets to accompany the centuries-old image of the Blessed Mother, which is a replica of a Marian image of the same name in Spain. Our Lady of Peña Francia is one of the most venerated Marian images in Asia. During the homily, Archbishop Rolando Tria Tirona of Cáceres in Naga said that Mary exemplifies genuine attention, nourishment, and support to her Son. This year's theme is Mary accompanies our journey towards a synodal church. The novena concludes on September 17 when Cardinal Jose Advincula of Manila would offer Holy Mass. The following day, Sunday, September 18, is the solemn feast of Our Lady of Peña Francia. A federal court in the state of New York here in the U.S. has sided with a Christian foster agency by allowing it not to provide its service to unmarried couples or same-sex partners. On September 7, federal court judge May D'Agostino ruled that the state should refrain from forcing Christian foster centers to provide services to gay couples due to their religious beliefs. The court gave a verdict in favor of the Christian Adoption Center, New Hope Family Services in Syracuse. The agency filed a lawsuit in 2018 after it was told to revise its discriminatory and impermissible policy or cease its operation. If they had lost the trial, the agency, which had played a major role in fostering more than 1,000 children since 1965, would have had no option but to shut down. The prelate of Opus Dei, Monsignor Fernando Ocaris, has asked the members of the Catholic institution for their prayers on the reform ordered by Pope Francis. It was on August 4th that the reforms kicked in with the promulgation of Motu Proprio ad Charisma Tuendum by Pope Francis. Keep praying for the work that the Pope has entrusted to us to adopt the statutes of the work to which is indicated in the Motu Proprio, the prelate said in a message on September 10th. During the day spent in the Holy Land, I have kept you especially present in my prayer, knowing that I am accompanied by yours at the same time, Monsignor Ocaris wrote. With the document Ad Charisma Tuendum, as of August 4th, Pope Francis decreed that the Opus Dei will henceforth be dependent on the dicastery of the clergy, and its prelate will not receive episcopal ordination. In the latest report, the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom has sought the attention of the Department of State regarding the deplorable international security in Nigeria. Decrying the spiraling violence in the West African country, USCIRF urged the State Department to respond to the plight of Nigerians, focusing on the rise of non-state violence actors and their impact on religious freedom of civilians. The report also criticized the silence of the Nigerian government as violence continues. The commission stated that the attacks are mainly due to Islamist insurgency. The report concluded with numerous recommendations to the U.S. government on how to respond to religious freedom violations and rising atrocities. It also urged the State Department to designate Nigeria as a country of particular concern. Over 60,000 Christians have been killed in the past 2 decades in the West African nation because of their faith. As the debate on abortion rages in the United States, a pro-life movie has hit theaters. Titled Lifemark, the movie spreads the message of defending the life of the unborn. The film portrays the story of a teenage mother who initially decides to choose abortion but later considers adoption for the child. The story begins more emotional as the teenage mom decides to reconnect with her abandoned child years later. Kirk Cameron plays the character of the boy's adopted father. The film is directed by Kevin Peoples and was adapted from the true story of the adoption of David Scotton, which was earlier portrayed in the documentary I Lived on Parker Avenue. In an interview with the church pop, actor and executive producer Kirk Cameron said, quote, "Lifemark is pro-family, pro-life, pro-love, pro-forgiveness, pro-reconciliation, and new beginnings. It's all about life in the womb and the beauty of adoption." In the crisis-hit Lebanon, Pontifical Charity Aid to the Church in Need, or ACN, has launched a $2.28 million program to provide succor to Catholic schools. This measure is to ensure peaceful coexistence between Christians and Muslims and the continuity of Christians in one of the cradles of the faith. The initiative plans to secure the future of almost 30,000 children and over 6,000 teachers in the country, which has been reeling over political and economic crisis. As many as 185,000 students belonging to Christian and Muslim communities with ages between 6 and 18 are enrolled in 250 Catholic schools across the country. Philip Ozores, Secretary General of ACN, said, quote, "Support for schools is a key response to the crisis affecting Lebanese Christians," end quote. In the previous academic year, 1 out of 10 children discontinued studies as they either left the nation or were forced to drop out due to economic difficulties. A Catholic bishop in Kenya has sought the attention of the international MPs towards what he termed as bad educational programs. Bishop Paul Kariuki Jiru, who heads the Kenyan Conference of Catholic Bishops Commission for Education and Religious Education, said in a statement on September 5th that lawmakers from developed nations should oppose budgets for such flawed curricula. He said the budgets for bad educational programs like comprehensive sexuality education, which the European Union and the United Nations agencies present to their respective parliaments, need to be opposed by international legislators. Bishop Jiru stated that the budget would pave the way to the advancement of the so-called sexual and reproductive rights. The prelate further recalled his address to the International Catholic Legislators Network at the Vatican last month, where he raised the issue of education. He further criticized the developed countries for manipulating the educational, cultural, and religious values of developing countries. And those are your latest headlines. Do join us tomorrow. In the meantime, you can visit swnews.org for more updates. Shalom.